Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us so much. My name is Steven, and I'll be going over for today's session. We love to get to know a little bit before we go through the rest of the presentation. So in the chat, go ahead and make your pitch to us. We'd love to hear just a one-liner of the venture you're working on. If you don't want to share that, then let us know where you're dialing in from. I'd love to know what city and state you're tuning in from, just to get to know you a little bit better. And for a basic overview of what's going to happen today, we're going to go ahead with the slides and take questions at two different sections, the fireside chat and at the end. But if any questions pop up, feel free to place your questions in the chat, and we'll do our best to recall them later on. A little bit about FoundersBoost. We started back in 2012 and have been growing across cities over the years. We've been helping pre-seed startups prepare for accelerators, investment, and revenue, or AIR, AIR for short. And let me say it here and now, there are no fees or equity exchange for this program. I repeat, there are no fees and no charge on equity stake. This all boils down to one simple truth: your success is the ecosystem success, and that's good enough for us. So some of our other programs are in Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, Toronto, Pittsburgh. So we're in quite a few cities already. We believe entrepreneurs can change the world. However, data is showing there's a huge chasm for new startups to get across what we call the proverbial chasm of death, right? And so there's a few reasons for this, from mindset and connections to mentors and access to capital. And that's where FoundersBoost comes in, to close the gap and get promising startups towards AIR, and long-term economic impact and growth for all. To say that a pre-accelerator is a lot of work is an understatement. In just 6 weeks, we're going to squeeze you through a quarter of intensive bootcamp. And this includes mentorships, workshops, refining your pitch, and pitch deck prep. So whatever you need and wherever you are in your startup life cycle, it's our job to support you and surround you with all the resources that you need to move towards your AIR goals. And we aim to cater the program around each company. So we try to speak to you as early on as possible so we understand where are you, what are you dealing with? What are your headaches? What keeps you up at night? So that come the program, we surround you with all the things you really need to help you accelerate as quickly as possible. And if there's one thing or one pet peeve I have, it's wasting people's time. So we're going to put that to the test. We're gonna invite an alum from prior program to share their experience of having gone through the program and the alumni community afterwards. So I'd love to welcome Grant Guillory. Welcome, Grant.
Hey, Steven, how are you doing?
Good. So joining us today, the co-founder of Amplio.io from the spring 2021 cohort in our own backyard of Washington, D.C. So welcome to the stage. And we appreciate you taking the time to share your experiences in this fire chat. But how are you doing? How are you coming in to today's meeting?
Really good, actually. So, everybody has their cliff stories, and so our funding was kind of edging towards the end of its runway recently. We just got a new contract, so we're pretty excited. That contract is going to fund us actually for a while. So we now have a lot of top opportunity in the future, and are really excited about it.
Awesome. And we're gonna take a step back before we continue on to your ambitious goals that you have for this new contract and the rest of the year. But first, how did you hear about FoundersBoost? Back then it was Startup Boost, right? And what caught your attention?
So, we were looking through all of the accelerators, on FSuccess and some of the other websites that are out there, and we were looking for a way to get some consistent feedback on our messaging. It's one of the hardest things, especially when you're starting off, is to find people who know what they're talking about and are willing to be candid with you about what you're doing. If you go and talk to a VC or an angel group, you may or may not get really clear feedback about what you can do to improve. And so, we knew we needed that. We also wanted to do that without having to give up any equity in the short term or having it cost us anything. And, FoundersBoost / Startup Boost at the time seemed like a great way to do that.
Nice. And, digging a little deeper there, what what was the experience like, from the beginning and going through it up to the end? What can you share?
Yeah, so let me give a little bit of background on Amplio. And so Amplio has actually been around for a couple of years. I joined in January of this year as the CTO, but the company had a contract with the government at that point in time that was going to fund us for a little while. But the issue we were facing was an issue of strategic focus. So you can imagine it going through 2020 with the pandemic. Amplio at that time was focused on human performance, and we were actually looking at a lot of like large gyms. So we were talking with Equinox and a few others. We had some early work with the San Antonio Spurs, and then the pandemic hit and everything fell away. So the company had to look to one pivot. They started to run through some of our early angel funding, and so at the end of 2020, we got a contract with the government that was similar to what we've been doing before, but not quite in the same vein. And so, in early 2021, we were trying to figure out, one, how do we produce a good message, one that actually resonates, and actually, how do we make a transition away from the sports performance arena and into an arena associated with performance in the cognitive and mental space, specifically trying to deal with burnout and mental health. And so as we made that transition, we started in FoundersBoost. And so, one of the fantastic things about it was the ability, to start with our pitch and then iterate on it over the course of 8 weeks, consistently getting feedback. One of the things that we found is it takes a lot of iteration to get to a message that actually resonates. It's not just this do it, construct a draft, and then deliver it. You need to have a large number of people looking at it from many different directions. And so over the course of those 8 weeks, we iterated quite a bit, and we went from not really knowing how to present it. So I should say I'm technical. My co-founder, although he's the CEO, is also technical, and so we tend to edge towards talking about the engineering of our product more so than the sales component, and we find it. I think we had trouble telling, really good stories that resonated with people on on an emotional level. And so, walking through that, with external people who weren't necessarily technical, who had experience in marketing in other domains, allowed us to produce something that, one, it got us more traction with angel groups and VCs at the back end. It allowed us to actually work more effectively strategically as well. As you figure out which message resonates, you start to modify your product, the direction your company is going. And so that's kind of what happened to us over those weeks. We would iterate on the pitch, talk about how we were going to change it. And then as we were doing that, it would also, make us think differently about strategically where the company was going, how we were building our product, and what our target market was. Now, it's at the end of all of that, we came out with a much clearer idea, about where we needed to focus in and how we needed to tell our story.
Got it. And, during those iterations, any tough love, or what was the toughest love you received at any of the 6 weeks? Anything you can share?
Sure. So I think, the toughest love was just being told that, what we were saying wasn't resonating, right? We weren't telling, we weren't giving sufficiently concrete examples. And so we had to say, take this description. So we're a company that combines, I should say, we're building a platform to help people deal with burnout. This is the kind of thing that there's lots of stories about. You can look at what's going on in the pandemic and see there's, there should be clear ways to express that, but we tend to talk about the science, the AI. And so, we were essentially told, what you're saying and what you're presenting isn't actually telling us what you're doing. A lot of the questions revolved around, hey, we listened to your talk 4 times and we still don't know what you do. And so that's not great to hear. And so that, I think, was some of the most important feedback we actually received.
Yeah, and now that you've been through it in hindsight, anything you would do differently for somebody coming in for the first time?
Yeah. So one, I think I would have made more time each week than we did. I think we were running a company and we had deliverables for clients throughout it. And getting the feedback from the mentors who were extremely valuable to us. I mean, we're still talking to a number of them right now. We would have gotten even further than we did if we had more available time to focus on iterations in between the weekly meetings that we are having.
Got it. Got it. And, after the program, after the main 6 weeks, then there's demo day. What was that like?
So the lead up to demo day was interesting for us. I think the amount of work that we ended up having to put into producing a professional or reasonably professional video was significantly more than we thought. And part of it was because Trung and I were both presenting. There was a lot of interaction in interactions that we had to work through, right? So that we could actually present together as a team in a way that made sense, and also getting it onto camera. So one of the surprising things for us was just the amount of work it took to do easy and good handoffs on camera, make sure that all the lighting and the shadows worked. And these were aspects that we hadn't really thought about before, but are very, very necessary to making sure that you have a clean presentation that looks professional to somebody who's watching your video. So that I think was the first thing. The second thing was, providing that video and then getting feedback. We had a couple of angel groups contact us afterwards, and hearing what they were interested in terms of our product was really, really useful. And so it provided us some additional avenues for finding funding.
Got it. And now I know we're nearing the end and want to be respectful of your time. The alumni experience, have you been able to do much there after going through the program? Have you been able to connect with others? How is that piece going?
Yeah, so I'd say two things. One, a number of the mentors have continued to work with us throughout. So, we're doing equity crowdfunding right now, in addition to, the contractual money that we're pulling in. And so Jay Bang, who's one of the mentors and is also a founder right now who's going through similar things, has helped us, tremendously. He's taken a look at our presentations. He actually looked at our crowdfunding page and did a review of it for us. His wife is a designer, and so she's kind of his ear and helped him design his site. And so she actually was willing to do that for us. And so we think the feedback we received from her was incredibly valuable. Ross Franklin, who's another one of the mentors, he's the founder of Pure Green and is really great in the marketing space. And we still work with him actually pretty consistently. He's been helping our CEO Trung work out on the social media side of things, right? How do we increase our brand recognition? One of the issues that we faced as we went to do crowdfunding was that we had been essentially a stealth startup to that point, and crowdfunding really revolves around people recognizing who you are and knowing knowing what you do. And so we had to go from 0 to 60 very, very quickly. And so he's been very, very helpful there. And Sarah Hippert, who works in the health and longevity space, which is nicely tied to the kind of work that we're doing, has been providing some really nice feedback on where we're going and what the actual market looks like.
Awesome, and I think what everybody's interested in actually learning about today, what's next for Amplio?
Yeah, so we just got a new government contract, and so that contract is probably going to fund us for a runway of about 2 years. So we actually have quite a lot of space right now. We have 2 products in the works. One that is the main product that we're generally talking about, which is called Omipar. It's a product that looks at psychometrics and biometrics and helps people understand, are you burning out? What does your stress levels look like? And then how do you intervene in such a way that you can reduce it and deal with a lot of the mental health issues and the complexities that come along with the pandemic and also with the return to work. And so we have a study coming up with the University of Maryland that we're going to be conducting over the course of the next couple of weeks. And we actually have an agreement we've put together with Aura. So we'll be using their rings as our primary wearable device. And then we have some interesting work coming up next next year working with our collaborators at University of Pennsylvania, looking at how stress and learning connect, and building a product that helps the government evaluate how people in some very high stress job series are able to get through some really tough training.
Awesome, awesome. And we do have a audience question here, and maybe you'd be good for this. They ask about IP, and so protection of IP. When it comes to your IP for Amplio, how did you feel about that during going through the process of this program?
So our feeling was that anything that we are going to say during the program itself, we would need to say to VCs or other groups that we're interacting with. You're going to go out there, and if you're going to actually have all of these conversations with all of these different groups, pretty much everything that you need to talk about in a pitch deck is going to be something you should be pretty comfortable with sharing in general, broadly, if you ever want to get someone to actually fund you. We certainly wouldn't talk about underlying algorithmic work that we're doing, or any of the core IP that drives our moat and our protection around our product. And we didn't feel like we had to actually make any of that available, so it was pretty easy.
Got it. And last question, because we're mindful of your time here. You were one of the teams, I think the only team where had both you and the CEO. So both of you went through the program pretty consistently. How was that experience? Would you recommend that other teams do the same, or do you feel like one is enough? What would you say there?
I think it depends. It depends on your organization. I would say that it was really useful for us. Ensuring that we were on the same page, that that our message grew organically with both of us having a say in it, I think was really, really valuable. So if you have a larger, say, C-suite team or a larger group of co-founders, I think having at least a couple of them involved in it would be really useful, especially if you all are going to be involved in external interactions, whether that's pitching to VCs or angels, or doing any of the applications to accelerators as well.
Awesome, awesome. And any last words of wisdom for the community?
It takes a long time to get your message right. I mean, we're constantly iterating and still changing. It's always a work in progress. I would say, just be willing to and ready to consistently put in new changes and information, and be open to feedback. We're getting enormous amounts of feedback right now from the crowdfunding component, and we're still changing. And I don't think that's something that's going to stop anytime soon.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Grant. We really appreciate you sharing your experience with our community. Stay safe, and we'll reconnect over on FoundersBoost later on.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Stephen, and good luck, everyone.
Thank you, thank you. All right, and there you have it, a personal experience of someone having gone through the program, and they are not the only one. Here's some other examples of our spring cohort. And as you just heard, they're going through a crowdfund raise. Just got a new contract to continue on for 2 years. INF Care is going through the investor madness period, trying to reach their fundraise goal. Heirloom Cloud is also exploring the fundraising madness as well. And make no mistake, if there's one thing you get from all of this, is that FoundersBoost is a mentor-driven pre-accelerator program. We bring some amazing professionals across diverse experiences to guide and help founders get unstuck and edging you closer past the proverbial startup chasm of death. And a huge thank you to our mentors. This is just a sample of the mentors network we are cultivating to help you grow and accelerate. And going more big picture, we've received more than 4,000 applications to date. Over the years, more than 300 startups accepted into the program, and a combined raise of $85 million so far across the alumni network. We have a strong and impressive alumni community. You are here to be the right kind of busy, and so are we. For those seeking venture capital, our investment portfolio is diverse across many firms. Interesting to note, we do not have any particular preference towards any one accelerator or another. In fact, we don't believe venture capital is the right path for everyone, hence our diverse AIR or AIR focus. And speaking on diverse, let's pause for a brief moment to bring up an important point. We can't operate in good faith in the capital of inclusive innovation without being hypersensitive to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are beyond the moon and back proud of our work to reduce barriers for the new majority and we'll continue to do so because as humans, we still have a long ways to go. And we partner with dope organizations to continue the good work, so you are in good company from the start. But let's break down the programming so you get a better sense of how the 6 weeks actually look like. Each week, we have a deep dive into a topic, and we invite a seasoned expert to go past the basic content fluff in everyday community events for more in-depth discussions and actionable insights that can be quickly applied to your business. We then move into focused pitch coaching, because the challenge after developing product market fit and scalable processes is to communicate this win over to investors, partners, etc. You get some tough love here with a focus on the love, because we want you to crush your pitch when it really matters, like pitching to Richard Branson or Melissa Bradley, or getting that next government contract as an example. And because every start has different challenges, we finish with direct one-to-one mentorship for your particular business. The journey to build a successful business is riddled with growth challenges. So we put you in weekly direct contact to help you get unstuck and ideally moving right along to the next challenge. A big question of many is probably, what are we looking for in the business and in your application specifically? So let's address some of that. Always team, team, team. Are you the founder to build this and take it forward? Do you have the grit to push past the ups and downs and ambiguity and chaos that's coming? Are you open to feedback? Do you apply the learnings to do more faster? Do you have a well-balanced team? Are you a mix of technical and business backgrounds? Are you passionate about what you are building and looking to change the world? That's what we really, really care about and are looking for. So team. The next thing is market. Is this the right time? Is there a viable path to grow market share? What's the likelihood of it being successful? An example here, some of you may be scientists who started developing technology in the lab, and it could take 15 years of refining that tech in the lab. That might be too early, but let's have a conversation and figure out where you are at and whether your technology is ready for market and in the program. The next thing we really look at is traction. We tell everyone to reach out to us as soon as possible if you're interested, because we want to see you execute over time. What have you accomplished since we last connected? Put us on your update email so we can see all the things you're accomplishing. You're bringing on a new team member, as an example, or you secured a partner, or maybe you tested the product in a new pilot, or you generated some revenue, or anything really can be traction. It can even be a failure. It can be, we learned this was the wrong approach and now we're slightly pivoting. Learnings are an exception because it means an advantage over other people. So traction is key, and we want to see that you can execute. So keep us in the loop and add us to your update emails. We're there to join the ride with you, and we want to see everything you are accomplishing. And the last thing that we look for is the solution. So obviously, what are you building? And we want to know, are you going after a significant problem and you've developed at least a minimal viable product solution to solve that problem? So while startups pivot and iterate a lot, the idea and solution is not nearly as important as the problem you're going after. So as long as you've been focusing your background and your expertise, investing so much of your energy building this, the solution can pivot. But we just want to see that you're going down the right track. And so here we've given a few examples of traction, but feel free to let us know other ideas you may have to show signs of progress and traction, and put that in the chat. So some commonly asked questions, what's our mission or outcomes? The program is diverse in its approach to help ventures grow and scale. So some go on to apply for an accelerator, others want to begin the fundraise gauntlet, and others want to go to traditional route through the good old-fashioned customer acquisition. And there's really no right way here. The path you decide to take is up to you. We'll be here to guide and connect based on what you decide. Another question, what's our method exactly? So we deliver outcomes through mentorship, number 1, focus on priorities, number 2, and strategic connections as number 3. Another question, what else is there beyond the 6 weeks? You have 2 capstones, demo and investor days, and access to the FoundersBoost X community. First, demo day has evolved beyond the traditional capstone milestone into more of a celebration. Investors and other entrepreneurs actually look forward to our demo day to see the rising founders and ventures that DC has to offer. We have investors who we invite to check out the vetted talent and potential deal flow opportunities. Second, through FoundersBoost X community, we host various workshops, optional, of course, because you are all busy building your business. But the events are aligned with what our startups need to scale up and apply towards growth and scale efforts. Remember, be the right kind of busy. So we'll do focused content, we'll do community group mentorships and workshops, and we have exclusive perks and discounts, among other things. And wow, so thank you so much for coming to this Ask Me Anything meet and greet. This is actually a really big step because not only are you getting FaceTime with us, but you're also getting to know a little bit about who we are and what we offer. So this is the best time to ask questions if you have any, but also look for us to get some time with you as well. Now, next, what you'll want to do is apply by the deadline. We have our own preference for the application process. So apply early so we can see your traction and your progress during your application process. And lastly, you go through interviewing and screening with our team before final selections are made. And we just want to give you some background on ourselves and the program because you'll be working closely with us as co-directors. And it's valuable to see the things that we've been through. We come from various components of the entrepreneurship ecosystem. Myself, I'm a founder first, mostly in the marketing and feature industry space. I've worked in catalyzing entrepreneurship ecosystems across 170 countries and recently across the US and Canada and Colombia through Techstars. And fun fact, my venture capital experience began through Next Gen Venture Partners. Back then it was Startup Angels. My core focus now is on helping Black and Brown businesses grow and scale through 1863 Ventures, doubling down on disruptive innovation and future industries through Swago and Innovate Coalition. And as next steps, I'm diving down the decentralized autonomous organization, blockchain, and exponential technologies rabbit hole. And I'm aiming for the space industry someday. But at the heart of it all, I'm a community builder, catalyzing connections or nodes across stakeholders to accelerate more equitable economic development and wealth generation for all. Other co-director, Stephen Beecham from Angels and Entrepreneurs, great for deal flow pipeline and just amazingly bright and insightful, especially for those that want to go into venture capital raise and crowdfunding. Stephen is your go-to for some of that stuff. He is just beyond the walls insightful there. And we truly believe it takes a village to raise a startup. We cannot make the magic happen without the support of amazing program associates. Flor Lievano from Orange Up, founder herself for her business, more on the operations side of things, and we are super thankful that she's helping us with logistics. And there's still room for another program associate to join the team. And so we're gonna kind of add this in the chat. So if you're interested in learning more, or you know somebody that may want to join the team, then feel free to share or apply. And we'll end with some key dates and details. So our fall 2021 program applications are currently open and they close September 16th. Very important. It is a virtual experience, again, for safety reasons, from October 5th through December 8th. And it's not the entire 5 days. It's actually every Tuesday from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern. And again, we break up the 3 hours into those segments that we told you about. We're going to invite a guest speaker on a specific topic for growth and acceleration. Then we're going to go into the second hour where it's pitch practice and refining your pitch iteratively over the 6 weeks. And then the third hour of that 3 hour time block is going to be one-to-one direct contact with mentors to help you think through your latest growth challenge for your startup. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out. We are here to help and support the ecosystem. And with that, applications are open, so apply sooner than later if possible, so we can get to know you more and see your progress from our holistic understanding of you and your awesome venture. So more community questions. Let's see what we've got here. Am I pre-revenue? Can I apply? Pre-revenue is fine depending on the business model. Many don't make revenue to start. I guess the only questions here, do you have any traction to speak of? Make sure to say that on the application. Question, I am a solo founder, can I apply? Not a big detriment if you're a solo founder. Just we have seen more success when it's a team. Just make sure to showcase your team on the application if going solo, or this is the team you want to build or are building towards. Next question, are there any fees? No fees and no equity taken. Again, no fees and no equity taken. What are some time commitments? Well, Tuesdays, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern. If you cannot make them, you're going to miss out on the mentors, which is the biggest magic sauce of this all. That's not the secret. There's no secret here. If you miss out on a week, sure. If you plan to miss more than 1 or 2, then may not be the right fit this program. So consider a different time if that's the case. Will this be in person or virtual? The fall 2021 cycle, we are doing it all virtually. Any in-person activations, if we do them, will be optional and separate from the core programming. So rest assured. All right, lots of questions, but thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. We hope you will apply sooner rather than later so we can go through the applications. And remember, by September 16th, appreciate you all, do awesome, make the impact out there, and we hope to see you soon in the program.